In this time, Gentiles were called Christians, and Christians had another name, Little Christs. Now that we got that out of the way, let's do a quick recap. So first the Assyrians and the Babylonians invaded, then the Romans, then the Muslims, and finally the Crusaders. Okay, let's finally get into some real info. In this era, Jews varied a lot. You either really, really liked them or hated them with every inch of your soul. Luckily for the Jews, the Muslims were very accepting of them. The Muslims let the Jews live in their land with their own leadership. The Jewish leaders were called exilarchs to remind them of being exiled from their homeland. The Jews were kind of nomads traveling from kingdom to kingdom. Many Europeans were Christians and accepted the Jews. The exilarchs were allowed to rule if they respected the caliphs, Muslim leaders. Around this time, Jews were prosperous and numerous in Spain, under the Umayyad dynasty. This time was called the Golden Age of Jews. In 720, a Jew named Cyrene said he was the Messiah and claimed that they should take back the Holy Land instead of the Christians conquering it. In 1060, another Messiah named David al-Ruri popped up, but his father killed him in his sleep to stop the oncoming chaos. Years later, Obadiah, a Jew, led a revolt with 10,000 Jews to get them the Holy Land. They lost. In 1066, 4,000 Jews were murdered in Grandrod. Some converted to Islam, but others fled. The Jews were blamed for the death of Jesus a lot. During this time, the stories about Jews were commonly told due to Anglocentrism. In 1070, England became a mishmash of money-wanting Normans. Jews were murdered even more around this time because a lot of them had receipts with debts from the debt owners. And the debt owners burned and killed the Jews to not pay their debts. King Stephen once burned down a Jew's house for not paying his expenses. In 1144, an 11-year-old Jewish boy named William of Norwich was murdered by the Jews, and the Anglo-Saxons tried to kill them for it. In 1186, a Jewish leader, Aaron of Lincoln, lost all of his assets to King Henry II. King Henry II was then framed for murder and held for ransom, and the ransom had to be paid off then no other than the Jews. Talk about being freed by the people you hated upon. Not a good look. Not at all. Anyways, King Richard was impressed by Saladin's army at the time, and the tolerance of the Jews under leadership of a Nagid. So, then Richard invited Maimonides but got turned down.
What? No, dude!
In 1194, King Richard issued the Ordinance of the Jewry, stating, established a special exchequer of the Jews to keep duplicate records of credit and debt that could not be easily destroyed by the debtor. Guaranteed the crown a 10% share of debts held by Jews. In 1199, King John approved the Jews' election of Jacob of England, England's first Nagid. In 1205, Pope the Innocent III decreed Jews were servants of sin. The Jews were punished with persecution for the crucifixion of Christ again. In 1210, King John was cruel and made the Jews go to jail and stole all their money. Also, the Jews were not able to run for office, and they had to wear the infamous gold badge. In 1253, the Statute of Jewry was issued by King Henry III, stating, Christians could not work or socialize with the Jews. Jews couldn't live in the land without the king's permission. Have to abide by certain Catholic rules. couldn't set foot in some churches, and many more. On October 29th, 1255, a Benedictine monk, Matthew Paris, accused the whole Jewish community of England for killing an 11-year-old named Hugh of Lincoln. The Pope then ordered the execution of one of the Jews and imprisonment of 90 of them, and 8 more were executed for refusing to plead guilty. In 1275, Jews were banned from Worcester, Gloucester, and Bath, so the Jews relocated to Hereford. King Edward I in 1275 issued the Statute of Jewry: no money lending, and no having land for over 15 years. On the 18th of July, 1278, King Edward had all 16,000 Jews arrested and 293 executed. In the Edict of Expulsion, it states that the Jews had to leave by All Saints' Day or convert. When King Edward I made the Jews leave, most of them drowned in the English Channel. When most of them made it through, they swam through the English Channel all the way to France, only to be banned to Spain in 1306. In 1313, the Council of Zamora instructed Jews to wear a gold badge. This happened again under Adolf Hitler. The Jews were clearly identified, and the English beat them. Jews couldn't use Christian doctors, and the other way around too. They could not touch fruit or hold office. This is what led to mass segregation at the time. As you can see, the Jews were treated very, very harshly. They went through prison, mass genocide, and many things. But wait, there's still more. Maimonides. Is that how you say it? Maimonides? Mayonnaise? Maimonides. There we go. Got it. He was born in Spain and most famous Jewish scholar. So revered by this man by most Jews that they said, from Moses to Moses, there arose no one like Moses. Yeah, they actually said that. Maimonides took the books of the law of Talmud and combined them to make the Mishneh Torah, means repetition of law. It was very important to the Jews because they did not have much faith in God. Even still, they argued about the book. Through rough times, fathers cherished their families. Jewish boys worked from the rising sun to sundown. The girls and the women were cherished and seen as good for making meals. There was also no crime, divorce, or heavy intoxication. Every father was a priest. Every home was a place of worship, and the central place was the synagogue where they celebrated births, weddings, and worshiped.